projection.
Welcome everybody to Takin On Sports. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing this week?
I am pretty good there, sir. How are you today?
I am pretty good. Just watching the old Ravens sweat another one out. They did the other way this time though. They were the team that
came back.
They came back this time, yeah. So we'll see. Lamar Jackson hurting that game, so that's definitely something to watch for.
Yeah, that's a big.
Yeah,
could be big there, but hopefully it's not too serious.
Yeah, hopefully for Ravens fans, indeed. All right, y'all, let's start. Of course, I guess the big story of the weekend and day, the college football playoff is set. Not quite what we thought it would be, but pretty close.
Pretty close. Yeah.
Pretty close. The final count, of course, is Georgia, the number 1 seed. They will play 4 seed Ohio State in the Peach Bowl. Number 2 seed Michigan will play number 3 seed TCU in the Fiesta Bowl. Ohio State sneaks back in thanks to Utah beating the shit out of USC in the Pac-12 championship game. We'll get to that in a second. Michigan and Georgia won their title games easily. TCU did lose in overtime to K-State, despite just a hell of an effort by old Hacksaw Duggan there. But it's funny. So, yeah, they get the right teams, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely say they got the right teams. You hate, and that's going to be the thing that's going to be beautiful about getting to 12 teams is you hate to see a team that got blown out in their final game of the regular season be able to sneak back in like that with Ohio State. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, they still got the 4 teams right. I guess the biggest shock of the weekend, as you alluded to, of course, was not just USC losing, but USC getting trounced on Friday night.
Yeah, a little bit due to Caleb Williams getting knocked up in that game.
But even then, I mean, that Utah defense was nasty.
It is. And I got something on them again. We'll get to the title game recaps here in a minute. But, yeah, that was just a nasty ass whooping right there. Georgia did the same to LSU. LSU fought for a minute there, but Georgia just too much for them. Yeah, I agree with you. It's the right teams. I mean, I don't really think Ohio State deserves a bid any more than any other team, Alabama, Tennessee. You might as well just give Georgia a bye in that one, but someone's got to be there, right? And so,
right, somebody had to be there, and I guess process of elimination, only 1 loss on the season. Mm-hmm. No matter how they ended the season, I guess still the committee's going to look at that as a little bit better than what Tennessee and Alabama overall.
Yeah, I guess what you're looking at is, Ohio State blew out teams pretty consistently. A couple struggle wins here and there, but and I guess their best wins were Penn State, Notre Dame, and Penn State ended up, I believe, top 10 in the rankings, didn't they?
Right, yeah.
So that's
they did.
Better than anything Alabama's got. Their best wins ended up being Texas and Mississippi State. I don't even think Ole Miss finished top 25 in the rankings. So
right.
Tennessee's best win ended up being Alabama, but they also got blown out by South Carolina. So, if you're going to pick a team, I guess Ohio State was it. But I imagine Georgia will do what Michigan did to them because Georgia and Michigan are very similar.
Right. Yeah.
That Michigan.
I would say the only questionable thing about that game altogether, even in the 20-point win yesterday, that Georgia secondary, boy, they did give up 500 yards.
That's true. Yeah, maybe Ohio State with a month to game plan or so that can maybe those athletes they can finally live up to their potential. But we'll come back to all that in a second.
Sure.
Yeah, I think TCU, I think deserved it too. They had just a great season.
Right.
They put up a hell of an effort, lost in overtime to a giant killer team that just always does this in a game that shouldn't be played in the first place. It's ironic because the only reason the Big 12 pushed to have a title game despite, only having 10 teams was because TCU got screwed and left out the first playoff. 14. Yeah, when they should have won. And that was, oh, look
Yeah.
at here, the Dolphins' first play of the game, long touchdown. Oh, man, that offense, killer.
Yeah, that's huge.
But, yeah, so now TCU, despite having beat K-State already this year, had to play them again, and this time K-State got the better of them.
Yeah.
But committee did the right
Right.
thing. I think, you as
I
a
mean, I guess the only shocker there is that they didn't move at all. I mean, I understand why they didn't move because, I mean, they didn't want to see the rematch already with Ohio State, Michigan.
mm-hmm.
But usually, you lose in that title game. Even if you stay around, you move down. But I mean, I understand why the committee did what they did. But kind of surprising compared to other years where we've seen, even uh, last year when Georgia was getting in the playoff, they dropped down after Alabama beat them in the SEC title game and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And part of that is another reason, again, why I say it's just dumb for them to do weekly rankings. Have a BCS type formula, do that show every week.
Yeah,
Let ESPN
exactly,
create some rankings of their own and use that as a tool. But
exactly.
you just put yourself in tough situations if you're the committee and you have to
Right,
release these rankings every week, because then everybody's like, oh, well, what did Alabama do to jump up, or what did Ohio State, instead of just being like the committee looked at the entire season and decided these are the 4 teams that deserve to get in.
exactly. And I thought it was, funny throughout the week, just how many outside talking about Alabama, especially outside the Alabama fan base, and then even inside our own fan base, how many people are talking, "Oh my gosh, Alabama's going to somehow get that 4 seed," especially as the dominoes fell on Friday and Saturday there. So it's
Yeah.
pretty funny
CBS with
to see
their
some of
Gary
that.
Danielson's little checklist of everything that needed to happen, and it happened. But I
Yeah,
never thought for a second there was a
I,
serious
I mean,
chance.
I
No.
didn't, but I mean, there were definitely a lot of people in both camps that were really thought somehow we were gonna pull that forward. I was like, my goodness, like what have y'all been looking at this season that garnered that? I mean, I understand, but just with the losses that we took
Mm-hmm.
and just the fact, I mean, basically, I mean, we're in that 4 spot, more 5 spot, more of our name than anything,
Mm-hmm.
but that's
Yeah, exactly.
name and past accomplishments more than anything.
Yeah, and I think it was who you're looking. If it's Alabama versus TCU, I think that's no question. It's TCU deserves it more.
Right.
They got all those
Oh
top
yeah.
25 wins, big wins, blowout
Right.
wins.
I mean, they did.
Whereas
I
Alabama
mean, they
didn't
did
have.
everything that they.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, TCU earned it. Alabama, despite they lost them, and Saban. That was another thing you mentioned. So many people upset this week, especially at Nick Saban, because why? Because Nick Saban was sticking up for his team. Like you
When
don't
is he
have.
gonna say, "Oh, we don't need to be in the
Yeah,
playoff"? Of course,
exactly.
he's
What do
gonna say
people
we need to be in
expect him to
the
say?
playoff.
That's so stupid. People just anything that
Yeah, they
Saban
were like,
says,
"Oh
they
my
want to.
gosh,
Yeah,
why would he go on TV and beg?" But what coach doesn't?
yeah,
If they have that opportunity and they're in that realm of teams that could possibly be in, why not? Who isn't gonna say, "Oh no, we don't need to be in the playoff"? Of course, you're gonna
yeah.
stick up for your guys, no matter what you actually feel. And he may have, who knows what he actually felt, but either way, you're gonna give it your all to give that committee one last thought before they make those selections.
Exactly, and that's just some Bama and Saban fatigue because Dabo does that. Everyone's like, "Oh, Dabo, look at him. He cares about this." It's
He's a funny guy.
yeah, it's bullshit.
Such a what a guy.
Exactly. So, but yeah, everyone. eh, Your argument there, if you're trying to argue Bama, isn't over TCU. It's over Ohio State because Ohio State's best win, like we
Exactly.
said,
I mean,
is
that's the thing. Yeah,
yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna jump TCU." No, the committee obviously
Mhm.
had. I mean, people I think were thinking the little name, the smaller money, the smaller fan base was the one that was possibly going to get left out. And in reality, little did anybody know, as we saw by the final thing, it was if anything was going to be left out, it was going to be the Buckeyes.
Yeah, and that would have been the team to leave out. If you're arguing Bama versus Ohio State, Bama's lost their 2 games on last second plays. Uh,
Yeah,
Ohio State got blown out at home in their biggest game, and their best win was a team that Penn State, like we said, they finished high, but at the same time, their 2 losses were the only 2 worthwhile teams they played. So
yeah, the two big games they played
but
exactly.
they only lost 1, and that's better than losing 2. So,
Right,
um,
exactly. So that makes sense for the X's and O's and
Mm-hmm.
and just where we're at in college football there.
Yeah. No, yeah. And like we said, it might be a moot point. Georgia might blow them out anyway, or maybe Ohio State gets in there and knocks off Georgia, and they earn it either way. But yeah, dumb of people to get mad at Saban for sticking up for his team. Funny to watch everyone panic because everyone. It seemed like so many people just convinced themselves that Alabama was going to get in somehow. But yeah, I as an Alabama fan, of course, would love to see my team. And especially
I mean,
because of how yeah,
uh,
how much it would have pissed off
yeah,
people. Yeah.
yeah, that'd been the best part.
They would have been the best part, but I definitely a part of me also has no desire to watch that team, this particular Alabama team, playing another high stakes game.
Especially against
Yeah, especially Georgia, or I imagine that's what the matchup they would have set. But who knows?
Georgia, the one. Yeah, no way. I don't think we get blown out just because that's Alabama rarely gets
Mm-hmm.
blown out. But it would have been in a fashion that I don't think we would have necessarily got blown out, but it would have never really been in danger of really winning the game. Probably 10 to 14 point type of game, just because Georgia's would have probably done the same game plan as they had for the national title game, and I think that based on our play calling and our way of not adjusting, I think that it would have probably been similar.
Yeah. There's no kind of like last year after Jameson got hurt. There's nobody to take the top off that Georgia defense, and yeah. So, but we'll move on. The other big news with the college football playoff this week was they officially will now expand to 12 in 2024, starting with the 2024 season. So next year will be one more of the 14 playoff, and then we expand. The last hurdle they had to get over was the Rose Bowl. Basically, working out the Rose Bowl wanted special exemptions and to keep their, precious TV spot. And basically, from everything I've read, the playoff told them to get on board or fuck off. Basically, they would be left out in the next round of negotiations after the 26th season, I believe. And they basically threatened to all right, well, you can just not be a part of it at all.
Exactly.
So good for them because the Rose Bowl has always had an overinflated sense of self-worth and importance to the college game. And tradition, great. Rose Bowl, it's a beautiful stadium. It's always fun to watch. It just means more to Pac-10 or Pac-12 and Big Ten fans, I'm sure. But
yeah, it's not anything more important than the Sugar Bowl or the Orange Bowl.
No, exactly, yeah. Once the BCS came in, once we had a system that said, look, we're going to put the two best teams together regardless of what conference, and those bowls kind of became, that less important, and now the playoffs even more less important. And again, like I wrote on the site, if they want to stay relevant and become big name things, I seriously think these bigger bowls should move to the beginning of the season because everybody gets hyped up for, the first week of the season, and you could put these big matchups, and instead of having Utah, the Pac-12 champ versus Penn State, a team that lost 2 games, so finished third, technically fourth, whatever, in the Big Ten, you could have Michigan in there. So you could still have your Pac-12 Big Ten matchup if you want, and it's a great way to kick off the season,
Who don't want to see Utah, Michigan to start week 1?
I'm going to say that would be a banger. Yeah, literally. Those guys would just beat the shit out of each other.
That'd be such a physical game.
It would. That'd be a fun game to watch start the year, yeah. But so it goes. We'll move on. Let's see. We'll recap the title games real quick. We'll just do alphabetical order. ACC title game, Clemson beat the hell out of UNC. Not much there. Clemson will move on. They will play Tennessee in the Orange Bowl. So the Orange Bowl with 2 big orange teams. Should be a fun one. A lot of scoring, I imagine. Yeah.
A lot of scoring. I think the biggest thing I took away from the ACC championship game, and probably what should have taken place much sooner, is they got away from DJ early and they brought in a freshman, and he coasted the victory. So I would assume that DJ will probably be in that transfer portal very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, you imagine you'll see, like you said, his name in the transfer portal. Maybe Clemson's finally found their quarterback of the future. But we'll see. They'll have a chance, in the season on a big note, playing Tennessee. Of course,
Right.
Tennessee without Hendon Hooker, but still a big time bowl game for the Vols. Their first since
Yeah.
I can't even remember. North Carolina, I don't think I've seen anything official yet, but the word I've seen so far is that they might play Oregon in the Holiday Bowl, which that'd be a fun one.
Could be a lot of points.
Yeah, the Holiday Bowl is usually a shootout bowl.
The high scoring thriller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always. So let's see if that's changed since I looked here. It is official. Oregon and
Oh,
North Carolina in the Holiday Bowl. That'll be a
that'll be a
fun one.
fun one.
Yeah, December
Might want
28th.
to bet the over.
Yeah, that's initial line is Oregon by 8. Interesting. In the American, the AAC conference title game, Tulane completes an
Wow.
absolutely great turnaround. They win the American Athletic Championship. They will go to, where was it? They're one of the New Year's Six Bowls. I've lost it. They play USC in the Cotton Bowl. So that'd be an interesting one. See how hard USC comes out. See if that Willie Fritz Tulane team can get a big win.
Yeah, those. It's just like that's and our game. Just the bigger name sometimes in that lose situation you win. Oh, you are supposed to win.
Yeah.
You lose. So it's kind of a lose situation. It's just always interesting to see how the team that, especially having come off a chance to make the playoff, just how you react and how you come out and what the quarterback, what his health looks like going into that game.
Yeah, you wonder if Caleb Williams is going to be 100% or if maybe he just sits out to get ready for next year.
Year. Yeah.
UCF looks like they'll play in the Military Bowl versus Duke. Another thing, Tulane coach Willie Fritz, he was kind of linked to the Georgia Tech job, turned it down. I don't know,
I say good for him.
Yeah.
Sometimes those Power 5 jobs, they open up, they look, oh, it's a Power 5 job. That's just you just see that as a revolving door job right now. Every 3-4 years, you're going to see a new Georgia Tech coach. I think it's good sometimes just to stay where you're at and keep doing what you're doing in Tulane.
Yeah, and wait for the job you really want to come available.
Don't force yourself into something that may not be pretty outside of the money.
Yeah, and he's got himself a great situation, great little program. We mentioned the turnaround. They went 2-10 last year. It wasn't really indicative of the program so much. They had the hurricane. They practiced a lot and moved up here and played some games in Birmingham. They practiced in Tuscaloosa as well. It was just kind of a team.
They were all over the place.
Yeah, all over the place without a home. So it was a rough season for them last year, but to come back, win the title, just play so great this year. Good for them.
Great story.
Yeah, great story. And I'm sure Willie Fritz's next coaching cycle, he's going to get linked with all the big jobs, or if there's a surprise one this year still. But yeah.
Able to avenge their only conference, was that their only conference loss of the season and then did it in big fashion there at home.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, packed out Ullman Stadium there up in uptown New Orleans, about a 2-minute walk from where I used to live there.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool little stadium. They were definitely partying afterwards, I'm sure. Big Ten title game. We mentioned Michigan handled Purdue easily. It's a little slow start, kind of like Michigan games can be. They pulled away. Purdue will go on to play LSU in the Citrus Bowl. That'll be an interesting matchup. Michigan, we, of course, mentioned they're in the playoff. Not really much to say there. As everybody expected. Again, if ever there were a conference that should move to pod scheduling and away from divisions, it's the Big Ten.
Please.
Yeah. We'll move Big 12. We mentioned that Big 12 title game was a hell of a game. Dugan, the quarterback for TCU, just a warrior. Just left everything he had on the field, but couldn't overcome K-State and Deuce Vaughn. The history of just small, shifty, game-breaking running backs for K-State
Right.
continues. They will go
Like,
on the
I just want
Wildcats. Oh, go ahead.
where do they find them? Like, where do they find these guys? Like, it seems like every cycle they have a 5'8", 5'9" little guy, shorter than everybody else on the field, ends up being a beast.
Yeah,
Like, what?
with track speed.
How do they do it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's amazing. K-State will go on to play Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. We mentioned that game will be an 11 a.m. kickoff on New Year's Eve,
on New Year's Eve.
Central Time.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's a. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how many players from Alabama rest in that one. Have we seen the last of Bryce Young, Will Anderson in
Yeah.
Alabama uniforms? We'll see.
I would think probably, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. They might want one more showcase game.
Right?
But you never know. That'd be interesting. What's the initial line on that one here?
I think I thought I saw like
Alabama 5.5 right now. Interesting. Yeah.
so I think they're kind of thinking people may not be playing based on that line
Mm-hmm.
and based on our other lines of the season.
Yeah. So maybe you see the next generation Alabama players in that one a lot. Maybe
Exactly.
they'll get a lot of practice
Yeah.
time for that.
Right. The only thing I would say about that game that I was just like shocked and stunned at the end. Why did Max run on third or fourth just himself? I'm sure just the way he'd been all day, I know he's super tired, but I swear he would get in the end zone. But
Yeah, it was interesting. You taking the play out of his hands, but yeah, he just might not have anything left. But regardless, they mentioned they were rewarded for a great season. They got in the playoff as they should have. Um, I'm sure it sucks for them not to have the Big 12 title, but they'll come in next year and they've established themselves. This kind of season, that's going to be great for recruiting. Sonny Dykes in his first season there, that might be your new Big 12 powerhouse there.
Exactly.
But we'll move on. We'll stay in the state of Texas for the Conference USA title game down in San Antonio in the Alamo Dome. UTSA wins their second straight Conference USA title over North Texas. They blew them out. They will go on to play Troy in the Duluth Trading Company Cure Bowl.
That might actually
be a fun game. Yeah, a couple of small conference champions there. Troy won the Sun Belt title. North Texas will play Boise State in the Frisco Bowl in Frisco, Texas, not San Francisco.
right there.
Yeah, right there.
Fans get to go a little bit up the road. Okay.
Let's see. Another small conference. Toledo beat Ohio in the MAC championship. I have not seen. Oh, yeah, though. They will play Liberty in the Boca Raton Bowl. Ohio will play Wyoming in the Arizona Bowl. Mountain West title game. Fresno got revenge for a loss earlier in the season to Boise State, won on the blue turf. As a reward, they will go to the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl and play Washington State. And we mentioned Boise in that Frisco Bowl versus North Texas. Pac-12 title game. We mentioned Utah just beat the hell out of. And my question is, how the hell is Utah always beating these top teams? Last year they beat the hell out of Oregon. This year they're beating the hell out of USC. But yet they're always like 9-3. Always. Like you would think at some point Utah would have been the team to break into the college football playoff, or they would establish themselves.
I know they were they were the name coming into the season out the Pac-12. Like everybody thought this was the year for Utah, but yeah,
it's just one of those things. If they just clean up those losses, those UCLA's, those Oregon.
that Florida loss at the first of the year. They go back and play Florida again. They
probably work them. Yeah. That loss just looks stranger and stranger every week too. But so they will play in the Rose Bowl versus Penn State. That should be a fun one. They might beat the hell out of
physical game.
Yeah, physical one for sure. USC we mentioned they're in the Cotton versus Tulane. Not sure what to expect from that one. But
Tulane will be hungry for it.
Yeah. All right, let's see. SEC title game we mentioned again. Georgia took care of business. They're definitely the favorite to win back-to-back national titles. LSU will play Purdue in the Citrus Bowl. Jaden Daniels got hurt, so they brought on old Nussmeier, I believe, the son of former Alabama coordinator Doug
Yeah,
Nussmeier.
it is.
He played well. He came in and really sparked that offense, and they scored a couple touchdowns after he came in.
Yeah,
Kind of got within striking distance, and then Georgia just kind of put their hand on their head like a big brother fighting a little brother and said, "All right, that's
that
enough."
that was nice.
Yeah, good effort, kid.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. So that is Georgia's. Nope, they did not win the SEC title last year. That's right. But so Georgia's first SEC title since. Let's see. They didn't win 2020.
Been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while actually. Thinking about it now.
The last time I remember, and I mean I could be off,
Mm-hmm.
was probably was it '07 when they
Oh
ended up playing Hawaii. No, they didn't even make it. No, they didn't even make it.
no, yeah, they were an at-large. Florida beat Alabama, or no?
Yeah,
Yeah, it would
that's
have been a
right.
Florida year. Uh,
Gee, as it was when they beat Arkansas back in like 2003 when we were in school.
that is
Because I remember they played Arkansas.
interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to rake my brain right there, but that let's see here if we can't find this history there, because they lost to LSU in 19, lost to Bama in 18, 17. That's right, when they got revenge on Auburn, they beat.
Oh, that's
That's
right,
right. Yep,
Auburn.
yep,
They
yep,
did
yep.
after losing and that saved. We should remember that saved us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
put Alabama back in and second and
yeah, of
26.
course. Yeah.
But yeah, before that it was 2005. They beat LSU. And, DJ Shockley, the MVP of the game. Yeah, that's a throwback name.
Huh. They beat. He's a sideline reporter for them now. I was in the car one day when Georgia was playing it and had on XM, and yeah, he's a sideline reporter for Georgia.
Oh.
So in case you want to know where he was at.
All right. One more title game. We mentioned Troy beat Coastal Carolina in the Sun Belt. Like we said, they're playing UTSA in the Cure Bowl. Coastal Carolina will go to play East Carolina in the Birmingham Bowl here. Right here. That'd be an interesting one. Coastal is losing their coach to Liberty.
Is that really a move up? I mean, maybe I guess Liberty has more money.
I think that's it. Probably Liberty has more. They'll throw more money at it, and I guess if you're that type of evangelical, almost, I don't know how much your faith has to do with you taking that. Hugh Freeze, obviously, that was a big part of his deal, and we'll get to him in a second. But yeah, I don't. That seems like kind of a lateral at best move, but yeah, it's probably a money move. Liberty has probably the best resources of any group of five.
Yeah, because I was shocked at the money that they threw
Hugh Freeze, yeah,
before he left. But yeah, they threw him a big contract. They had money like that to throw at Hugh Freeze. My goodness.
Well, they got that Jerry Falwell scam money, so yeah. But yeah,
oh, man.
So that is it for the title games. No real big surprises. Just like we said, the way that Utah did it. But I don't think anybody was surprised that Utah beat a big team and ruined the Pac-12's playoff chances yet again.
Again, they're going to kick them out the conference.
I was about to say, yeah, they're going to be back in maybe the Big 12 or back in the Mountain West before long if they don't keep it up.
They're like, listen, this is not in the script.
Yeah, either that or stop losing these damn dumbass regular season games. Go unbeaten. Lose one game.
Do it to win your other game so this one gets us into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
But we mentioned some coaching changes here. A big week here.
Wow,
and
interesting week.
Yeah, very interesting week. We'll start. I mentioned Hugh Freeze. I'll start there. Sorry, I'm looking for the link to the Athletics coaching carousel page. That is really handy to look at all of the moves made. But Hugh Freeze is in at Auburn. It's a decision that they made. Off the field reasons, I think everybody knows. It's just, Auburn's supposed to be very, they're all about family and taking care of each other. And I think right now, if you're a female Auburn student, grad fan, then you're wondering, does the school actually give a shit about you, given Hugh Freeze's history? Not just the extramarital stuff, but the allegations.
The high school stuff is actually way more disturbing.
Yeah, yeah. If you haven't, if y'all really want to see someone dive in expertly on it, this past Wednesday is the Shutdown full cast. They did just everything you could want on it. They really got into the high school stuff at the academy where Hugh Freeze coached.
At the Christian Academy.
Yeah, and just disturbing stuff about eighth grade girls and stuff. And then, of course, there's this thing and everyone who says, like, oh, in the past. No, the past is this summer. He was sending private messages on Twitter to, a young lady who is currently suing Liberty for covering up a sexual assault of her by a football player
Yeah,
and he's,
exactly.
basically harassing her through private message, which is something that he's done for a long time, not just to
And nothing new.
yeah, nothing new, but he is someone who has long sent messages to people who have, talked about him on Twitter. And so one of the big rumors with his hire at Auburn is that he's not going to be able to control his own Twitter account.
I saw that.
And if that's just something, if that's somewhere you got to go, man, that's just, it's just not a win.
What you really want?
Exactly. Is that?
Yeah, because you got to think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you got to think like he's going to be going into these players' homes, selling this and that. These moms are going to know the backstory, and some of them are going to look at him, be like, "What? Okay, yeah, it's going to be hard."
Yeah, how many moms are going to tell their son, like, absolutely not, or how many of these?
I'll smile with him when he's there. As soon as he leaves, hell no, son, you're not going.
Or how many of these kids that grow up, maybe, a situation like me, I grew up with a single mother. If I was a football recruit, that might have, that would have troubled me. Yeah. Or how many guys that have, 3, 4 sisters or something like that, grow up in a house of females, that's troublesome. Like I said, again, listen to the Shutdown Fullcast this week, folks. One, it's just a great podcast anyway, but two, they really dove in on all the off field and why it's troublesome, particularly how he tries to use his faith as like kind of an excuse in the defense, like he's, it's a reclamation project, and it's sickening, and it's troublesome for Auburn when they had such a great story in Cadillac right there. We talked about it last week. Why not promote him and spend that money that you paid Hugh Freeze on some top flight assistants and coordinators?
And I'm sure Cadillac could have, welcomed. I'm sure someone would have been happy to join his staff. I mean,
absolutely,
well connected football community, and seemed to be well respected by a lot of people. So I'm sure he could have put a pretty legit staff. In addition to, I mean, people that are on the up and coming or been around a while. I mean, who top assistant in a SEC team? Well, man, you're going to get a lot of hits, so you're going to be able to put a staff together. So
yeah, I don't think they would have had any problem building a staff around Cadillac. It would have made been great for them for, like you said, that sense of community and just all the emotional aspect of it. How hard they played for him in the past.
And he has a clean slate.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never heard anything negative about Cadillac or heard any off stories that's, very questionable.
No, the only negative things that we've heard about Cadillac, we said ourselves when we were sitting in that stadium when he took that first play to the house on us in the 2004 Iron Bowl,
Yeah.
And, I mean, we had more trouble with Carlos Dansby's mom then, as we were sitting in front of the players, the families.
That was so funny. I think about that all the time.
Oh yeah.
We said,
hey. It was all in good fun. We made friends. Had as good a time as we could have had losing that game, but yeah. But
they were actually decent people in that stadium.
Yeah.
Surprising.
Yeah. We didn't encounter the bad until trying to get out of that, and that one girl that stuck her shaker in your window, and more Eagle. It's like, oh boy, I've never seen Greg. You about stepped out. Yeah. Especially was that the same year that we got pulled over on the way to the game too?
Yeah, that was the same year.
Oh man.
And he thought I had a gun because I had a remote control for the CD player. Yeah. Remember they came running around there,
running around. Yeah. Hey, we'll do story time real quick. So we're on our way to the Iron Bowl. Wake up early, to make the drive across state. And we're going to meet, I believe we're
Yeah.
meeting my dad and his friends for their tailgate.
Right. We got to tailgate a little bit before.
And we get pulled over for speeding. Greg, rightfully so. Greg was
Yeah.
doing a little hot,
Going
but
on.
it's okay. And so we're sitting there, and the one officer's talking to Greg, driver's side, and he's doing his thing. Then all of a sudden, the other one whips out his gun. Passenger, hands on the dash. I have no idea. It is too early in the morning for me. I'm sitting there eating my breakfast. Noah, what? Hands on the dash. Boom, just slam them on. They get us out the car. He goes diving in the back seat, roots around, and pulls out a remote. We're dating ourselves now, folks, but to all the kids listening, so what you used to have to do to have CDs play in your cars, you had to put it in your Walkman, and you had to have a little adapter that had a little cassette plug, and you put that in your cassette player, and that's how you listen to CDs. Well, Greg had a little bit of a remote for it that couldn't have been more than like 2 inches long and skinny. You wouldn't even notice it. And the cop pulls it out and says, "Oh, thought this was the barrel of a gun." And it was the stupidest, dumbest damn thing ever. Greg's hot.
And we got pulled out, searched.
Pulled out,
everything.
searched. They're trying to.
He still gave me the ticket.
Still gave a ticket, and of course gave us, "Hey, roll tide, guys," on the way over. Tried to claim that I had a suspended license, which first of all, I was like, one, I'm not driving. Two, I don't have a suspended license. Well, that's not what our computer says. I'm like, well, your computer's wrong. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I don't have a suspended license. And again, I'm not driving, so it really doesn't matter, does it? But then when they asked us if we had any beer or any drugs in the trunk, we said no. And they're like, all right, cool.
They're like, all right, have a good day.
Yeah, it's like small town cops, y'all. Just don't get pulled over by them. Or actually, was it a state? I can't even remember now.
We could have all the we had all the cocaine and all the
they didn't bother to ask. But that was a great start to that day. Yeah. But that was story time.
Wow, funny stuff.
It was fun, but yeah. So going back, when we were talking about Hugh Freeze, so we talked about all the off-field stuff, but on the field. So why do you hire him? All right, because he beat Alabama twice, almost 8 some years ago now. 7, 8 years ago.
14, 15.
Yeah, 14, which was a good victory. And then the 15 game, if people don't remember that, that's the one where a pass bounced off the receiver's helmet and then another receiver caught it and ran for the touchdown. Alabama had 5 turnovers and still had a chance to win late. And then Hugh Freeze also never did anything with that. Alabama won the SEC title in 2014 still, Alabama
still won the
title in 2015 and then the national title.
Exactly.
Hugh Freeze then, had all those off the field problems and the NCAA investigations and got fired from Ole Miss. And then basically, Greg Sankey in the SEC office told people like, he is not welcome back here. Alabama tried to get him on as an offense coordinator at one point, and that was shut down. And so really, what is he bringing to the table on the field? Because that offense isn't that revolutionary anymore. Everybody's running that kind of style of offense, that hurry up, no huddle stuff. He's not doing any groundbreaking stuff. Look at this year at Liberty. He started hot, but he lost his last 3 games, including one to New Mexico State. Like,
it was horrible.
Horrible. One of the worst programs in the country on a consistent basis. Has not had a good program, maybe ever. I don't know their history, but a surefire candidate if they ever were to cut the number of FBS teams down. New Mexico State's not making that cut. We can tell you that much.
Yeah, they're getting relegated.
Yeah, exactly. They're going back to FCS. Have fun there. It's probably better for you. But so I'm just not sure.
And I don't even know if they make it out there.
Yeah, exactly. I believe he retained Cadillac on staff, so good for them. But as associate head coach or something. But so maybe he's just the guy that when inevitably Auburn fires Hugh Freeze in 3 or 4 seasons. I don't know.
Because the funniest thing about that is you have the guy and you go back to what is Auburn always known for? All they care about is beating Bama, and their fans always try to say, "Man, we're more than that. We don't care about that." And then your program does what? They hire a coach, and what's his most famous thing? He beat Bama twice. It just goes to show you, at the end of the day, no matter what they try to sell, that's your goal in life. Beat Bama.
Yeah, exactly. You can try to spin it any other way you want, but if you're talking about on field, he really hasn't been that impressive at Liberty. They had one season they finished 10-1, but they're not. They didn't make a New Year's 6 run or anything. They really haven't pulled any major upsets of any big time
No.
teams. Like we said, he finished this season losing 3 in a row, including New Mexico State. That's not. That's
Yeah, even if you had told your players, "Hey, I'm leaving," we see those things where they don't play for them.
mhm.
Still, New Mexico State.
Yeah.
But
But so that's it. I just don't think it's going to be that big of a boost. Maybe you get it just that kind of new coach boost, but is it really going to be? Is that
like,
really going to get you recruits that Brian Harsin wasn't getting or Gus Malzahn? Like if you're looking for a
they could have
coach
kept
that's just going to beat Alabama once every few years and really not do anything, you
that's
had him.
a hell of a record
Mm-hmm.
when he beat Nick
3 times.
in
Mhm.
17,
And
19,
13, yeah.
and 13 with OC.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the OC in 2010, and yeah, beat him in
Yeah, he was
13
the
too
OC in
with the kick.
2010, and he was that head coach his first year was the kick six year, and so
I mean, yeah,
you had Gus
they might as
Malzahn, you
well
had
kept
the guy
that.
that beats Alabama,
Yeah,
Um,
and he was actually, uh, he actually, same, strong Christian thing, and doesn't have near the issue. So he might have actually been the all-in family guy that they
mhm.
claim to want.
Yeah, and then with the football,
That
with the actual
someone
coaching
legit.
pedigree, if you're
Yeah,
telling me that your experience is what you want and that's what you're worried about, and not promoting Cadillac, okay, I get it. SEC program, it's a tough place to be your first head coaching job, period.
exactly.
But don't try to sell me, a snowball in the middle of Alaska, you know, uh, with saying that
Exactly.
Hugh Freeze is some great hire because of his on field stuff when his on field record hasn't been really that stellar. But
Yeah.
we'll move on from that. The other big news made official this morning, or just a little while ago, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, going to Colorado. It's an interesting get. You wonder how South Florida was trying to get him, and I guess just didn't have the
Yeah.
money or whatever to get him. He figured that might have been a
Mhm.
more natural fit, but going to Colorado, what do you think about it, Greg?
I'm kind of shocked by it, in the fact that I thought if Prime was gonna move on to the next thing, it was gonna be something bigger as far as the pedigree of the program, um, something that was a non-fail situation. Because I mean, we know he's not he hasn't been a lifelong coach. His overall dream wasn't to be a head coach. He has plenty of money, so I mean, those are usually three things that why you move on from one program to the next and move up to the Power Five job. But kind of, I mean, happy for him. He's moving up, but at the same time, it's like Colorado. I mean, unless he has knows something we don't, as far as they're on the cusp of something. But based on the last decade, yikes!
Yeah,
I don't know.
it is a program that historically can win. They won a national title
Yeah.
or what, 90, 91 or so. Uh, I think, did they get a Pac-12 title sometime in the past decade? It was kind of a weird outlier, kind of out of
They were,
nowhere. Or at least they were in the Pac-12 title game, maybe.
yeah, they were in one. I'm pretty sure they were
But
in one. I don't think they won
it's a
one.
beautiful campus, beautiful stadium. It's a great location as far as in between California and Texas to kind of steal some recruits that maybe the
Exactly.
bigger programs overlooked or missed. Maybe every once in a while you can steal one from them, like a big 4-star. I'm sure that Dion,
I'm sure that
yeah, Coach Prime is
Prime,
going to
yeah, Prime,
bump up their recruiting big time.
yeah.
And one thing I read too this morning was with it, they are going to change some of their transfer policies that have made it tough for other coaches to kind of work the portal and transfer from other schools. And that may allow Coach Prime to bring a few of his guys from Jackson State with him, including his son, the quarterback.
You'd have to think he's bringing his kids with him.
Yeah, that big time recruit they got, Travis Hunter, right?
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting if they are committing. That is the place I think you can win if you commit. I don't know what their facilities are like. If they need to upgrade them, which I'm sure everyone does. These days.
Yeah.
But
Hey, I mean, but my understanding, just from people from Colorado, is that it's Denver Bronco country, and they only really get super hyped when Colorado is good. When they're down, it's kind of
yeah, But yeah, Coach Prime should sell some tickets at least, maybe for this first season. He
Oh
definitely
yeah,
should get some recruits that they haven't
build
been
some
getting. So
excitement.
yeah, so that's a great hire for them. You wonder about the move for Coach Prime himself, but hey, if that's where he feels like he is the next step for
He's
him,
gonna
then good for him.
be good for him. Yeah,
Um, I'm sure those the Coach Prime ain't swat crowd is happy that he's gone now. Um, but I'll leave
I
that
mean,
up
they
to them. Yeah,
definitely have the definitely leave some arguments up for debate as far as see. We told you he didn't care about the conference or anything like
yeah,
that, but same time, anybody that's going to turn down a job promotion when offered, I mean, no regular person would. So, though it is coaching and a little different, I mean, it's the same idea.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that pretty much feels like all the big um, openings left. Let's see.
Yeah.
We've talked about Arizona State, Charlotte last week. Coastal Carolina, they will replace their coach with Tim Beck, the offense coordinator from NC State.
And so
We mentioned Georgia Tech. Willie Fritz's name was out there, but they ended up going with Brent Key. Um,
I like that. The guy
mhm,
that kept them, they look dead in the water, and you think, man, this season's going to get ugly. I mean, he had them on bowl eligibility week, the last week of the season there.
yeah,
So, I
and
mean,
that's a lot to be said. Sometimes those guys, if they rally around the coach, why not give them a couple seasons and see if he can
exactly.
continue it? Especially at a tough place like Georgia Tech. Um,
Yeah.
let's see. Trent Dilfer, that's a big one. Trent Dilfer is taking
Oh,
over
that's
here at UAB, here in Birmingham. Out
interesting.
of nowhere hire. He's been coaching at his son's high school, I believe, right? And won a couple state
Yep.
titles. Have been really good the past 3 or 4 seasons. But it's just kind of crazy. Didn't know that he had a desire to coach college. We'll see. Historically, those high school to college coaching moves don't always work out, but sometimes they do. Gus Malzahn
Yeah.
was one of them, and it's worked out okay for him.
And definitely interesting on the recruiting front because I mean he definitely has that lot of experience with Florida and everything with that, so that might be
It
interesting.
does, and the big thing there too is he is involved heavily with the Elite 11,
Yeah.
the highly
Those
touted
camp.
prospect, the recruiting camp. They do the Elite 11 quarterback, so that's something. Those are something really change mid-major, smaller programs like USB when they get just that 1, 4, maybe 5-star
Yeah.
quarterback in that
4-star guy.
changes everything. So if Trent Dilfer can do
Yep.
something like that, and that's and there's a lot of excitement around UAB anyway. Bill Clark unfortunately had to retire due to medical reasons this year, but he had really revived that program after it was shut down a few years ago. They have this beautiful new stadium here in downtown Birmingham. I've been to it for a concert. I haven't been for a game yet, but it's a great place. It's a great location. It's right there down the street from campus. So students can get to it very easily. It's right off the highway. It's just a great.
Little classier than Legion Field.
Yeah, right. Little in better shape than old Legion Field is these days. But so that's an exciting hire, I think, for UAB. That's
Yeah.
something I'll be interested to watch. Might go see my first UAB game then next season now.
That's definitely an interesting hire. If anything, it's going to bring some publicity and some
Mhm,
attention to the program. Sure.
exactly. And as I'm looking at this list now, it seems like the biggest opening left is Stanford. And the only name I've really seen, haven't paid much attention to it, but the big name I've seen that's possible for Stanford is Greg Roman, the Ravens, the Baltimore
Oh
Ravens'
wow!
current
I
offensive
know that one.
coordinator. And
I know that one break your heart.
please, football gods, Stanford, you should hire him. He's a great, great, awesome coordinator.
Great guy.
Great guy, great coordinator. It'd be horrible to lose him. Yeah. Yeah. But
Uh,
yeah.
oh yeah, I guess the other one, Nebraska getting Matt Rule there. That's a
Yeah,
big,
we
big
talked about that
hire
last
for
week,
him.
I think, didn't we?
Yeah,
If we didn't,
I
yeah,
think.
that's a great hire for them. Especially if you've seen, I don't know if you subscribe to The Athletic, they did a good story this week about him and his wife went kind of incognito undercover to visit Nebraska during the game weekend earlier this season after he was fired by
That's
the Panthers. And
nice.
they love the environment. He seems kind of a Midwest type guy. And that's the type of
Yeah.
program. I think that's a really good hire. And I think he'll, like we said, get
Yeah,
them.
they're reviving programs.
And they put money into their program there. They will always have fan support. Nebraska fans
Loyal.
love
Yeah.
Nebraska football. You can, attest to that being out there.
Yeah.
And like we said, they're probably not going to, they're not going to get back to what they were under Tom Osborne back in the day. They're not winning 3 titles in 4 years. They're not
Right.
dominating the sport.
They just wanna get back to bowl eligibility, 9-10 win the year.
Yeah, exactly.
They
Every now and
feel like
again, knock off, the Michigan, Ohio States, maybe steal a Big Ten championship every few seasons or every, once or twice a
at least
decade.
getting a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with the playoff expanding, that's, at large berths are possible there.
Who knows? Yeah. They go 9-3 in the Big 12. I mean, excuse me, the Big 10, and that some years might be a top 12 season right
Yeah,
there.
exactly. But yeah, so that's a good hire for them. South Florida ended up, they got Alex Golish, Tennessee's offense coordinator. So that's
Interesting.
yeah, it's an interesting hire for the USF. They're keeping that kind of offensive, I guess, identity or getting back to it. They used to have it, and then the Willie Taggart and all that. That's kind of it for big. There's still some openings. Cincinnati still has to. That's probably the biggest one left now. Cincinnati and Stanford.
Oh, yeah.
Cincinnati still has to fill it out. No real news on that. There, of course, have been Urban Meyer rumors and all kinds of things. But we'll see if Cincinnati wants to go that direction. But other than
That'd be
that, you got
interesting.
Cincy, Florida Atlantic, Stanford, Tulsa, UNLV, and Western Michigan are the job openings right now. I think that's it. Unless Greg, you got anything else in the college football world?
We got a lot of chaos, but still, four teams not surprising in the playoff there, but definitely maybe a little more entertained than people may have thought going into the championship weekend there.
Indeed.
Seemed cut and dry, and they ended up being everything but that.
Yeah, it was definitely not. I thought Caleb Williams might pull USC through, and we'd get that, but they just get replaced with another blue blood in Ohio State.
But what? I guess the biggest thing too. What does that do for the? I'd be interested to see if that affects the Heisman because it seems like he was a shoe-in going into the weekend there. I don't know. I know a lot of people vote ahead of time, and that's a thing that I'm wondering. Just they need to maybe change that process as far as how they vote or when they vote, and maybe include Championship Saturday because it doesn't seem like that gets much. Championship weekend,
Yeah,
that doesn't seem to be a key consideration in some years. But
or maybe
we'll
even
see.
push it back to. Yeah, it's weird. Some years it doesn't seem, but then like the year that Tua seemed to be on track to win it in 2018,
2018,
and then
then it
didn't
was everything because he
got hurt in the
left the
title
game,
and then they gave it to Kyler Murray, and it's like, well, wait a minute now, like. And then, that was always dumb there because the knock on Tua that season was like, well, he hasn't played a lot of fourth quarters. I'm like, yeah, it's because he's up 35-0 at halftime. So,
exactly. What is he gonna do?
yeah, but
Why would you have him?
yeah, that's just old stuff bitching about. We'll move on to the NFL now. Our weekly power rankings that double as our kind of recap, talk on the NFL. I'll start number 8 because I got a little bitching to do. The Ravens. Bad loss last week. Another last-second loss to Jacksonville this time. Was I think the first time – what was it? The first time that Jacksonville had been trailing the last 2 minutes a game and won a game in their franchise history. So that's not good. And I wrote this in my notes. I put them here over Cincinnati, one, because they have the head-to-head, so that's part of it. But in addition to that, I wrote the offense is a major problem, and that was before today when Lamar Jackson got hurt, went out the game. So we'll see what that is. But part of the reason they, blew that game, the defense blew it, that you can't deny that. But part of the reason the Ravens had, I think, 4 trips to the red zone in that game where they had to settle for field goals. And they're just not finishing drives. They don't have a big play receiver that can, they had a big play from Deshaun Jackson there, but Deshaun Jackson's going to give you maybe one play a game at his age now. Mark Andrews is great, probably second best tight end in the league behind Kelsey, but if teams can double and even triple cover him, then you can't do much. The running game hasn't really gotten going. The offense is a problem there, and so I do hope Greg Roman goes to Stanford. And I've said this before, and kind of, had a bunch of people kind of jump at me for it, but I'm not saying that John Harbaugh needs to be fired. I'm just saying that every program, every sports franchises do this all the time. Guys win plenty of championships, and then they just kind of their time comes to an end, and the franchise, needs to look at a fresh start. And I wonder, is that where the Ravens are? Like, is John Harbaugh just done as much as he can in Baltimore? He's a great coach, and you'd hate to lose him to someone else in the NFL. But is what he's doing there, is it working anymore? Do they need to try something fresh with Lamar to get him to stay and re-sign him to a contract? Or is it just as simply as telling John, like, look, you got to modernize the offense. Maybe this power offense isn't working. I think those are things that need to be discussed. Obviously, there's still a lot of time left in the season. Lamar may get healthy, but again, like with the lack of just star power in that receiving core, with the running game not being as strong as you would hope if you're a Ravens fan, and then the injuries. Ronnie Stanley didn't play today. They're banged up in the secondary still. Lamar went out. J.K. Dobbins is still on injured reserve. Rashad Bateman's out for the season. I said this online, but it's kind of similar to what we were dealing with at Alabama a few years ago. We were getting all those preseason injuries, and guys were going out hurt, and we'd lose a lot of star players like linebackers, and we were that kind of big, bulky power
what's
team.
going on with the strength and conditioning?
And so, do the Ravens need to change the way they look at strength and conditioning and training and rehab? They kind of made some changes in the offseason, but do they need to make wholesale changes? And that's just my little Ravens rant right there. Who do you got number 8?
I also had your Ravens at 8. Dropped down a little bit there. Lost to the Jags last week. Last second field goal to beat that bad Broncos team this week. Worrisome just how bad is that knee injury for Lamar. That hopefully it's nothing too serious, but it's been a tough couple weeks here for the Ravens for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I dropped them down a few there.
Who you got your number 7?
7, I have the 49ers. They're growing on me a little bit. Looks like it's their division now. They have the lead over Seattle, and I doubt that they'll give that back, especially if they stay healthy. Shut out the Saints last week. Big game playing right now against the Dolphins. I mean, that's huge for both teams. Just kind of see where they're at on the national power of the NFL there. So,
yeah. I also had the Niners at 7. In my notes, I just said they got to stay healthy. I think that's their big key for them, keeping McCaffrey healthy, keeping Debo and Ayuk and all those guys healthy.
Exactly.
I believe
they're definitely
Jimmy G out of the game right now. Did I see that they had a backup in?
Yeah, I thought I did see that on the red zone.
Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, I just have the red zone queued up here, so we're flashing through games here. But I think that's the key for them. If they get some of those defensive guys healthy, they're the well coached. They're insanely talented. That's a team that could sneak up and go on the road and beat a Philly or someone in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Number 6, I got the Vikings. They had a good rebound win last week on Thanksgiving over the Patriots. I believe they won today, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got a little closer, but they beat the Jets.
Yeah.
So that was a good win for them.
Beat the Jets at home. Yeah, like you said, the Jets kind of made it a little closer than they wanted, but when it's a win, so they're again pulling away with their division, trying to keep pace with the Eagles. Of course, remember they do. The Eagles have that tiebreaker for home field advantage, so they need the Eagles to drop a couple. Who's your number 6?
We're going right in order. Same here. Beat the Patriots on Thanksgiving. Beat the Jets today. They're just winning games for the most part. They had the 2 ugly losses to the Eagles and the Cowboys, which of course people are going to question throughout. Just how good are the Vikings? But when they're on, they're on. So.
All right. How about your number 5?
5, I have my Cowboys at 5. No, I got the big division win, season sweep over the Giants, and on Thanksgiving last week. Always good to do that. And tonight against the Colts. Hopefully we don't lose. It's always one of those Dallas. I feel like we always find a way to lose a game. You're like a head scratcher, and that would be the one on prime time when everybody's watching. This will be the one. 10.5 point favorite. It has every sign of. It makes me worried, but hopefully we can continue on. Our third win in a row there.
Yeah. Where are we at? Number 5, right? Yeah,
5.
yeah.
Yep.
Same as you, Cowboys. I have them right in there. The wild card team, no one wants to play.
Yeah.
Probably not going to get that division over the Eagles, but that's arguably the best defense in the league. Them or San Fran could. They each have the arguments for it. Micah Parsons just playing out of this world as he goes that team, that offense. They're doing their thing. That's all I have to say. Number 4, I got the Dolphins. They're rolling along, doing their thing. In the battle with the 49ers right now in a good game. Mike McDaniel facing his old mentor and friend, Shanahan, over there.
Yeah.
And they're another team. As long as they stay healthy, they keep their guys, keep Tua healthy, keep
Now,
those receivers healthy.
who is the quarterback now? 13 is that
Brock Purdy, I think. Oh, Iowa State.
Brock Purdy?
Yeah,
Oh, Iowa State guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mister.
Okay.
Was he? Oh, yeah, well, didn't get that one, but so yeah, I didn't see what happened to Jimmy
All
G.
right,
That's
Brock
interesting
Purdy.
right there. We'll see what's going on there. All right,
Yeah,
but
that could long term. Yikes!
mhm,
That could be it. Yeah, that could change some things up on the season if anything super serious with Jimmy G. But my 4, I have Buffalo at 4.
okay.
More so, I think, because they head to head there with Miami. So that, but people kind of questioning Buffalo there a little bit. Maybe some games not as dominant as what people would have hoped there, but especially the Lions game on Thanksgiving, a little closer there. Beat the Patriots on Thursday night football. So I mean, they're just doing their thing. Maybe not as dominant as what people may have wanted, and then maybe that's why people are questioning it.
Mhm,
Some with Buffalo, and maybe the maybe a little regression with Josh Allen there at times. He was really going with Dayball as the OC, and seems to be a little more careless with the ball this year.
mhm.
But they're still a heck of a team. I always say, man, this is the NFL. It's not college. You're not going to blow out everybody every week. You're playing other pros that are getting paid millions of dollars and on that same skill level. So I mean, it's not going to be a walk through the park every week. So
No, for sure. How about your number 3?
3. So I do have the Dolphins at 3 there. As Tua is there and then going, they've been winning games there. Beat the Texans last week. We've already mentioned in the big game with the 49ers today. Currently 10-10, and I think that is just going to give us a good idea just where these teams are. Very much contenders. With honestly at this point, Super Bowl contenders
Mm-hmm.
on both sides there.
Yeah, we flip flop. My number 3 was the Bills. My note for them was, is how actually healthy is Josh Allen? You mentioned those
Yeah, that.
turnovers. You mentioned I've seen some things, listened to some podcasts where they talk about he doesn't quite have that same zip on the ball that he usually does. And he's a guy that likes to trust his arm and try to throw in a tight window. So if you don't have that pop,
Yeah,
that's a big thing.
yeah.
You mentioned the Dolphins do, as of right now, have that tiebreaker because of their head-to-head win. They'll on the 11th the 18th. They will get their rematch in Buffalo.
Oh,
But yeah, the
should be a
Dolphins.
fun
It's
one.
a close. They're in the middle of a little tough 3-game road trip right now. It starts today in San Francisco. They go to the Chargers next week, and then Buffalo the week after. And then they
Thanks.
finish home with Green Bay, at New England, home with the Jets. So they'll
Uh,
have to earn it. if they get there. But they're currently
Yeah.
winners of 5 in a row. So, um, but yeah, like I said, number 3, the Bills. It's about, again, another team that we're getting to the point of the season where teams just, you worry about injuries and got to stay healthy. They need to make sure Josh Allen stays healthy. They hope they get Von Miller back before the playoffs or for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, if Josh Allen isn't healthy, and you guys are probably gonna make the playoffs, like, do you maybe see if needs to sit a week or two, maybe get his, um, get some rest on his shoulder or whatever the injury is, just because I mean, Buffalo can beat teams in Buffalo, or I mean, I don't think being on home or road really is gonna be make or break for Buffalo. So
Yeah, and I did just see on that Sunday or the red zone. Obviously, I have it muted here, but it's a little graphic flashed up. Jimmy G is out with a foot injury of some sort for today's game. So that is something to watch for the
yeah,
49ers
we'll not
going
learn.
forward.
I just saw that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But yeah, number 2, I had the Eagles bounce them back up after their big win over
Mm-hmm.
the Packers last Monday Night Football, where they just ran all over them. They went through them, over them, around them,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
by them. Uh, if that running game, I mean, they're obviously not going to do that every week in the NFL, but if that's, you can get that running game going. In addition, they had a big game through the air today, a big win over the Titans.
Yeah, big win over the
Yeah, AJ
Titans.
Brown.
Dominant win over the Titans.
Yeah, dominant win. AJ Brown, a little revenge game.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts just on 35-10 was the final score. He threw all over him. I think he ran for a touchdown as well. So yeah, they're kind of in control for that number 1 seed, home field advantage in the NFC,
Yeah,
and that's big. Who's your number 2?
yeah. I mean, number 2, same as you there. Eagles. I mean, big win, dominant win last week at Green Bay. This week against a Titans team that is known for slowing teams down, making it their type of ball game, and the Eagles were not having that today, and they took it to the Titans, put up points. Um, as good a win as you can expect. Playing against a quality opponent there, so big win for them.
All right, and that means your number 1, the Chiefs.
The Chiefs, yes sir, blew out the Rams last week and down early today against the Bengals. Tough road game there for them, but we'll see how that plays out for the rest of the Sunday afternoon.
Yep, they're in their AFC title game rematch with Cincinnati. You mentioned they're down, as of right now recording, they're down 14-3.
14-3.
Um, yeah, and they're just, I mean, we've talked about it. There's really just so much you can say about the Chiefs at this point. They're, as long as Pat Mahomes is on that team, they're going to go far. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem, we've talked somewhat this season about them missing that kind of explosive playmaker in Tyreek Hill, but it hasn't really,
Hasn't hurt them yet.
yeah, it hasn't really hurt them. And they just have different guys step up. One week it'll be Juju,
Mm-hmm.
one week it'll be, they got Kadarius Toney from the Giants,
And he's already out again.
Yeah, he's already hurt again. That he's one of those snake bit guys, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um,
I saw that on the thing this morning. I was like, my goodness,
mhm.
that man can't stay healthy to save his life.
Yeah, but again, yeah, if you have Pat Mahomes and Travis
Kelsey,
Kelce with Andy Reid
yeah,
calling plays, you're in pretty good position. That defense has been
yeah,
very improved for them this year. So we'll see how that shakes up today as they chase. Well, let's see, who is the actually, now that I think about that, I'm not really sure who's winning the home field. I believe the Chiefs right now are winning the home field advantage for the AFC.
yeah. I believe so because I know I had the win over Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Let's see here. Pull this up real quick. I got it here. Yeah, KC is right now 9-2, so they have the lead over
they have 2 losses.
Buffalo.
Everyone else.
Yeah, as it is right now, it'd be KC has that bye and home field advantage. Buffalo would get the 2 seed. Baltimore would get the 3 seed. Tennessee would get the 4, and then a bunch of teams fighting for those.
That's crazy to think about. That Buffalo or Miami will be a wild card team.
Yeah, no one.
Yikes.
Yeah, so as of right now, if you were to stop right now, your playoff Buffalo would host the Jets, in the first round. Baltimore would host the Bengals, some division matchups, and then Tennessee would host the
Wow.
Dolphins. Obviously, a lot of those are going to change. Baltimore is going to play Cincinnati the last game of the season, and again with that Lamar Jackson injury, we'll see how that affects them going forward, if he's healthy or if Huntley has to step in for a few games.
That could definitely change the division there, because the Bengals have been looking better, and Jamar's back this week, so yikes.
Yeah, just made a nice one-hand catch, was out of bounds, but yeah, that's just a
that
team
was
full of
legit.
weapons. Yeah, that offense, if they can
D.
protect
Higgins,
Joe
Jamal
Burrow, that's their
Chase.
key thing. They just got to keep him upright because that offensive line's
Right.
still struggling.
Yeah.
But that should be it for our NFL talk. We'll finish up today some World Cup. They've moved on to the knockout round. Of course, the U.S., they gave a valiant effort against the Netherlands. They just don't have the horses to beat the top team this year.
No.
And then that's really the key. They put in great effort. They're a high energy, high pressing team. They were the youngest team in the World Cup, and that inexperience definitely showed. They were attacking and pressing the Dutch high early on, and then when the Netherlands
A lot
got
of
a chance
energy.
when the Netherlands got a chance on the counter, they finished it. They put their chances home. Christian Pulisic had a great chance in the opening minutes to score an early goal, didn't put it away, and Netherlands took their first chance for a goal, won 3-1.
Yeah, once it got 2-0, I was like, man, we're not gonna score 2 goals.
No,
It's over.
they scored that one and made it close, but
Yeah.
then Netherlands had one more in the tank to put it on ice. And that's just really where you're at for the U.S. men's team right now. They need to find a score. They don't have a striker
They
that
don't want to score.
reliably can put goals in the back of the net, and
Exactly.
they probably need to tighten up a little bit on that back line on the defense. They did put a great effort in, but as we said, also they're the youngest team in the cup, I believe, that or the second youngest, and so they're going to
You have
mature.
to
They're going
think
to add stars.
a lot of potential,
Yeah.
a lot of hope for the future.
And the 26 World Cup is, a joint effort. It's going to be a lot here in the U.S., so they'll be playing in front of home fans. So that's something to look forward to.
For sure.
Of course, you're always disappointed not to go further, but that's a good effort. That was a tough group they got out of, and they played hard.
And
So
I don't think anybody really thought we were going to beat the Netherlands. I mean, it's you always hope. There's no moral victories in sports, but I mean, they go from no World Cup to the knockout round the following time. I mean, big improvement over that 4-year period there. So.
exactly. Elsewhere in the knockout round, Argentina beat Australia. They will play the Netherlands on the 9th. That'll be a fun one to watch. England and France both win easily in their first round games. They will face off on the 10th against each other. That will be probably the highlight of the quarterfinals.
You'd have to think just rivalry there.
Yeah, France just playing great, and despite all the injuries they've had, they don't have Kareem
They blew
Benzema.
out. I was
Yeah.
kind of shocked at how they dominated Poland at that 3-1.
3-1, yeah,
Wow.
3-1 over Poland. England beat Senegal 3-0. They're getting goals from everywhere. Harry Kane scoring. They're getting all kinds of goals from anywhere. England's such a dangerous team. France is such a dangerous team. That'll be a really fun game to watch.
Fun one.
Um,
And maybe that just shows how impressive we were able to get that tie with England. I mean,
yeah,
consider they've done the rest of the way there. I mean, they've been putting up goals left and right.
yeah, really, not just a draw with them, but just shut them down. Like they never threatened a goal. Like never at once did you really worry that they were about to put one in. Let's see. Tomorrow, Japan and Croatia face off, and Brazil and South Korea. And then Tuesday, Morocco versus Spain, and Portugal versus Switzerland. That'll finish out the round of 16. So yeah, it should be a lot of exciting stuff. By this time next week, we'll know who the semifinals are.
Nice.
But yeah, Greg, anything else from the world of sports you want to touch on?
Not a whole lot. Just interesting way to win the college football season. Sadly, that was, other than bowl games, we're to that point of almost being done with the season, which is kind of sad. But it's been a heck of a season. There are a lot of excitement, a lot of craziness throughout. And the championship Saturday was no different. Lived up to what the rest of the season has been.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is always sad part of the season. You get
Bittersweet.
bittersweet, yeah, very bittersweet. You get a lot of games coming up, but it's the end of it. Closing in on the NFL playoffs, and then NBA, college basketball that'll take over. Right now, should give I guess a shout out to my Pels. They strong right now on a little winning streak of their own, and they're currently beating Denver, I believe, right now.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a fun time.
Yeah, my
NBA,
Mavericks. We're not winning a lot of games, but Luca, what he's
oh
been doing,
boy,
we, man, he has what 3 40-point triple doubles this year.
mm,
Crazy numbers he's putting up there.
insane,
But
yeah. But like you said, they're 11-11 right now. I think barely holding on
yeah,
to a
11
play-in
11
spot.
action.
Hmm.
Missing. We're missing Jalen Brunson a lot more than maybe people thought we would. He was definitely the second guy that you could count on to bring buckets, and we don't have that guy. We signed Kemba Walker, but Kemba, I think, is a little past what you past his prime with all his injuries.
Yeah, yeah.
But
At this point in his career, that's maybe a good bench guy you hope can lead a second unit or something. But
yeah,
yeah, it'd be interesting to see. December 15th is a date when teams can start trading guys that they sign in the
mm-hmm.
offseason. So I think that's a big date to watch for a lot of teams. We'll see if Dallas
Oh
maybe
yeah,
tries to add something else, another weapon they need to help out Luca.
oh yeah. I think we're gonna need a two. We're gonna need a two-piece that can
Hmm.
drop 18 to 20 on any given night,
So
guaranteed.
what you're saying is Russell Westbrook to the Mavericks.
Oh man, that would be craziness. And the Luca together, both with the ball
Oh
control.
man,
Yeah. Oh man.
that'd be something to watch. Yeah, but
Oh boy.
no, that's probably your next big thing to watch in the NBA right now is
Yeah,
that
for sure.
date to see like the Lakers. Of course, there's a lot of talk about them trading. And see what goes on there. Of course, the Nets. That's always big talk and trading. And other than that, you're just kind of watching like the Celtics, despite all the upheaval with the coaching
Yeah,
change this
they're
all season. They're
on top
by
of
far the
things.
best team in the league as of right now,
Yeah,
offensively and
and it
defensively.
yeah, they're definitely just playing the same way. And, I think it helps some. At least the coach there is was part of the staff last year, so he knows the culture. Nothing, the team knows him, so it's not like somebody was brought in out of nowhere. So
Hmm.
I think that does help out somewhat with that. And ironically enough, talking about the NBA, the Athletic just sent me a little notification. Trae Young chose not to play versus Denver on Friday after exchange with Nate McMillan, per sources. So that's
Oh,
interesting.
that is interesting. Atlanta's star player, franchise guy. Definitely
I,
don't imagine that he would be the one to leave in that situation. It would definitely
wow.
be all Nate. So maybe a coaching
Wow.
change coming
See
up in
what,
Atlanta at some point.
we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, they are
Hey,
currently. Let's see, where are they? They're 4 seed at
yeah,
current
they're
in
not
the
playing.
East.
They're not playing bad ball. Like,
Yeah, but that's
interesting.
I do hear a lot of them in trade talk too. They've been trying to. Seems like they've been trying to trade John Collins for a few years now.
His name is always on the
Yeah,
block.
he was kind of like C.J. McCollum was in Portland, like just
Yeah,
always talking.
he was always out there. Hey, what are you guys offering? What can we get?
Yeah, exactly.
Always,
Oh, did he get that first down? He did. Good effort playing the KC game right there.
yeah.
But yeah, that should be it for our sports world. I don't have anything else. Still too early in the college basketball season. Kind of talked about Alabama. They got that. Did we talk about the 4 overtime win? That was after our recording last
That was,
week.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
craziness.
And the Tide knocking off the defending, the reigning champs UNC in 4 overtimes. Just a
Four
insane
overtime.
game. Crazy
That's
game.
an extra half of basketball.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, basically an extra half. Yeah. Insane when you felt like they probably had a shot to win in the first 3 overtimes.
Yeah, every overtime they had a
Mhm.
chance to close it down. But big win for the Tide. I know North Carolina has lost since, so maybe not as. But I mean, just the name itself, getting a big win over North Carolina. I mean, that's huge for the program. So
But
that was a good win
huge
for
for the
us.
confidence of a younger team like
Oh
Alabama too.
yeah,
North Carolina has been there. They're a
definitely.
team that knows how to win. Obviously, like we said, they're the reigning champs. Uh, they know, they know how to win games like that. So to play a team like that on a neutral court, on the tournament and
get the
pull it out.
win
Yeah,
there.
despite, like we said, they blew some opportunities to really put the game away in
Yeah.
regulation and overtime.
And still able to respond and get the win.
Yeah,
You know,
tough win.
these young guys, guards wonder, you know, how do they respond to tough situations, and you know that's a great early response for the team there. And the other thing, you know, just it's amazing that Javon Quinterly, after that terrible knee injury,
Mhm.
is already back at his full speed, like he didn't miss a step.
Mhm.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say one thing that I would like to see from the Tide is some better inbound plays or actual inbound plays,
Oh my goodness, yeah,
just all over the
for
court.
sure.
That
Yeah.
seems to be a lacking area right there. And then maybe a little too much standing around on offense sometimes. The offense at times in
Hmm.
that game just became whoever had the ball was driving and maybe a kick out, or usually just
Yeah.
in the three really tall guys.
And I think some of it they got it. I think some of it is just a fatigue level when
Hmm.
you're getting that deep into the game.
Hmm.
You know, gasping for air there. But big game coming up Saturday. Uh, Rematch of last year's game we won in Tuscaloosa, playing the number one team in Houston.
Oh yeah,
Houston Cougars on Saturday. That'll be a big game there.
yeah. Houston felt slighted by their. They thought it was a goaltend or something called last year, but
Yeah,
it wasn't. They just lost.
it wasn't. They just lost. And Tuscaloosa and took that L.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for Alabama. You know, we kind of peaked in December last year. We beat Gonzaga, beat Houston, and didn't do much else after that. So hopefully we have a strong December, but then build off that for the rest of the season there. So
Hmm. Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. Alabama still has games against, you mentioned Houston. I think we play
we play
Gonzaga at
Gonzaga,
some point. Yeah,
yeah,
let me pull that up real quick
all in
before we go.
December.
Yeah, like Nate Oates and Greg Byrne loading up that out of conference schedule to leave no doubt for any at large bids, which I think the
Exactly,
program's kind of
smart.
past that time. So they have, let's see, Houston rematch with them. You mentioned like Saturday they play Memphis on the 13th and Gonzaga on the 17th. I think
Man,
isn't that Gonzaga one here in Birmingham? That might be a little.
yeah, it is because because they played in Washington last year. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's somewhere in Alabama. I'm pretty sure it is in Birmingham.
Yeah, that's interesting right there. The CM Newton Classic. Oh yeah, Legacy Arena
Yeah,
at BJCC. Well, now
yeah.
I have to see the old boys around here when I go see the Tide. But
Mm.
all right, that should do it for us, folks. Greg, what is done up real good for you this week?
Done up real good for me this week. Probably last night, went to the company Christmas party, and it was a nice event. And then got to stay at the hotel after. They gave us a complimentary room after, so that was nice for the wife and I to get out for a night and
Yeah,
enjoy the.
kind of a little staycation.
Yeah, that it was. What about you, sir?
I'm gonna say my fantasy team done up real good today. Needed to win, despite, in my opinion, having one of the most best rosters in the league. Just
Uh-huh.
struggling. Just one of those years where I'm like second in scoring, but also second in points against me. So it just depends on the week,
Yeah.
and I needed a
Oh,
win today to get
exactly.
into the playoffs. And right now my team is
Uh-huh.
humming along. Thanks in large
Right.
part to Jalen Hurts, of course.
He had a huge day.
Big,
Yeah,
big
that was.
day. Big day.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't want to jinx it, but as of right now, looking like I will pull out the
Looking
victory,
good.
slide in those
Awesome.
playoffs, and then
Hey.
hey, anything can happen then.
All right. Once you hit the playoffs, yeah, it's anything.
Hmm.
You never know.
Exactly. But that is what's done up real good for me this week. Boys and girls, we will see you next week, I imagine. Until then, keep it done up real good yourselves out there. Greg, have a good one, buddy.
You too, buddy. See you Sunday.